What's up, guys? This is your host, Danny Baylor, Danny Cakes, and you are listening to the Immeasurably More podcast. All right, you guys, welcome back. So, if you have not tuned into our last episode about how I handle anxiety, please go check that out. I know that it will serve you well. And to be honest, when I was listening to it back, I was like, dang, who is this girl speaking? It was totally so much wisdom from God. And I cannot wait to hear how you guys put these tools to work when you're feeling anxious or feel fearful in your situations. So, let me know what your feedback is. It's so powerful. And it's just been a total game changer in my heart, my mindset in these last few months, how to tackle spiritual warfare and all the things regarding anxiety that I see, at least spiritually, along with God, right? And how, what he's really telling me and how to tune into his voice and tune out the enemy. So, you guys, my name is Danny, and I'm here to share with you all through this podcast basically the mindset behind the transformation of who I have become over these last few years. I mean, stepping into my true self, owning who I always wanted to be, meaning who God called me to be, right? And you guys, I've never been happier. I've never felt more like I'm in the right place at the right time than I do right now. And there's just always been this fire in me to do more and be more. And so I am so excited to give you guys my first business tips over these next few episodes. So, even how transforming my mind, my business created this domino effect literally on my entire perspective of my whole life. And so, I'm going to share these top tips with you and introduce to you the beginning of my business and what that looked like, my mindset, and all the things. I need to fill you in on the backstory and where my why came from. And I know I touch on this here and there throughout the podcast, but I want to make it really clear how this was so connected to my business and why I decided to completely commit to it, close every back door, drop the excuses and all the fears, and just go all in. And so I just realized I really needed to surrender that current situation and allow God to ignite that fire in me. I believe it's all in us, and truly God has immeasurably more that he can do through us, and he desires to, you guys. He does not want us to live a life full of mediocrity or just to simply exist to be average. Come on. Like, that was not a life that I had planned for myself, and neither should you. And so I remember thinking in the beginning of the story, like, okay, God, like, how am I special? Like, what would you do through me and for me? Who am I to basically be like worthy of more? Right. And I remember having this conversation with myself, and I feel like God answered me in that time and was like, Danielle, I plan to do immeasurably more through you, immeasurably more in your life through you for me, more than all you could ever dream or imagine. And literally, guys, my stomach is just like fluttering when I think about that because it's funny that I thought that way and I was like, hey, like what could happen because of this, you know? And God was like, girl, like you don't even know, you know? And I thought so small and I was so curious and I was just really, really willing. And I think that's a word that keeps like coming on my heart is just like being willing, you know? So now I have this clarity about the ideas I had in my head for this purpose I wanted to fulfill my whole life. And really now seeing it come into fruition greater than I ever could have imagined. And so I'm here to tell my story, you guys. And I will tell you the biggest turning point for me was a business opportunity. Yes, God did so much through me, but this was really the door that was open that I was like, okay, like there's something more. There's something that I was like thinking of and wanting and desiring for so long. And like it came in this form and I never expected it, never saw myself doing anything like this. I didn't see it coming, right? The best things in life happen that way, don't they? Your spouses, all the things, right? So I was already a full-time business owner. I chased my dream of being a full-time hair artist behind the chair with a major tool belt of so many areas of expertise. And I just found myself after 5-6 years of doing this and checking off all the things, taking an honest look at my current relationship, the town I lived in, and thought, okay, this is it. Like I was not okay with that conversation with myself. And it's like I had dodged this cookie cutter route of typical college and a 9 to 5. And yet I'm still feeling like there has to be more. And it's like, you guys, don't we do that? Don't we have this like plan for our life? And and this idea of what's ahead and what we think is like the best logical and responsible and all the things that's going to make us happy. And we get there and we're like, okay, maybe you resonate with that. Like that was so heavy for me. Like this was my plan. And like, this can't just be it. Like I've always had these dreams to expand and grow and travel. And somehow I still felt like I was consistently investing into myself and my career. And the pay didn't always match my effort. The rewards didn't always match the effort that I was always putting in, you know? So I thought, I'm bigger than all of this. I'm bigger than four walls of a salon or the gym that I coached at. You know, my relationship wasn't exactly panning out the way that I fantasized my whole life and dreamt up and with God, you know, and I just thought, okay, like this cannot be it. Like, God, is this like really what you had in mind? And I can't even picture, right? I can't even imagine like what would really be in store for me. And so I was really praying for what was next, like begging God and being like, when are you going to show up? Like, when are you going to reveal this, like, whatever's next, whatever's that more thing, and not understanding why I found myself like depressed when I was doing the things that I thought was my plan for my life. I initially had in mind for myself. And God totally laughs at our own plans often, doesn't he? Right. And somehow, based on, you know, the majority of people I had surrounded myself with, wanting more came off as if like I wasn't grateful or I wasn't able to be content. And it made me feel so guilty for so long. And even worse, like subconsciously put me down because it's like me wanting to break out of my own comfort zone made the people I surrounded myself with so much more uncomfortable, and they wouldn't have it until I decided I wasn't going to have it. Flip switched, you guys. And I look back now and I realize, Danny, that wasn't you not feeling content. That was you feeling obligated to settle. Like literally, I just got like goosebumps thinking about that. And that's just what I surrounded myself, and I trained my mind to believe every single day based on those people, right? Based on my circumstances and my atmosphere that I was allowing myself to just be like surrounded by. And me wanting more was my God-given desire of ambition. You guys, entrepreneurs are ambitious. We are problem solvers. We are growth seekers. And I was always like, God, what is next? And that wasn't something to be put down about, is something to be proud of. And I'm so proud that I will never settle. I will always be growing my mindset, always be growing my heart, always be trying to, you know, lean in closer to God. I'm like, God, more of you in my life and my business and my mindset and like the way that I treat people. Like I want to be everything that you've called me to be. And so I started to finally own that identity, and I quit hiding from myself. I started to be honest with myself and the dreams that God planted in my heart my whole entire life. And no one was going to hold me back any longer. This was not it. I watched other girls on social media building this business I was about to enter. And you guys, they looked so happy, like genuinely happy. I saw a community. They were so cheerful when they served other people. They had time, flexibility, and choices I knew I would work harder than anyone else for. My plan A just wasn't quite cutting it. You guys, I saw hope for myself. I saw hope for my future with this. And so I said yes. And I said I didn't care the cost or the sacrifice because what I was doing, my current situation wasn't working. And in fact, it terrified me. And I knew God was just screaming at me to take this leap. And what I didn't know, you guys, is that just 3 days into saying yes to this, I would discover the courage to be able to soon walk away from my 3-year relationship, the person that I planned my life with and had a home with and all the things, you know. And I realized if I worked hard enough, I could walk away. That was going to be an option for me. And I felt a sense of safety and hope in that. I knew I could earn some extra and support myself fully. So this meant hope for me, independence, community, new joy. You guys, I was all in, and I didn't need to question anything. I just knew in my heart this was right. And so this was my first why. And it's evolved for me over the years. And I will share with you later what it has become now. But since most of you are connected to me probably through this business, I want to begin introducing you to the initial mindset that I had going into this. So kind of like revisiting those episodes in the very beginning of my podcast, talking about taking ownership of who we are and taking the leap in regards to our business, right? So if you don't know, I am a network marketing professional in the top 1% of my company, and I basically share health and wellness and teach others to do the same. And so I was trying to figure out what would be the most important topic to cover first about this, you guys. And I feel like God just put on my heart like humility, to be humble with myself. You guys, this was new for me. Starting anything different, new is it's hard. It's uncomfortable. And we just have to accept that we don't know all the things yet, and that's okay. And I would watch other people build this business and I would tune in and I would listen to them. And that was the best thing for me. And I didn't think I was discouraged by that. Like, oh, well, she sounds so like eloquent when she speaks, and I don't know anything. I was like, no, Danny, take notes. And you don't know all these things yet. You don't talk that confidently yet, but you will. And you guys have to have that mindset for yourself that you don't know now. And that's okay. Everybody started somewhere. I don't care what you do, what you master, or what you're a part of. Everybody starts somewhere in order to be good at it. And so be okay humbling yourself. That was really hard for me, to be honest, because I have always become this person, which kind of led to my business now, but I was leveled up. I was always a person that everyone came to for questions. Even in my salon, you guys, I had half of the experience and most of those women in that salon, and they were coming to me for questions about pretty much everything, color theory, photography, all the things. And so I was used to being that person that knew all the things. So I had to be like, okay, this doesn't happen overnight. Like, you don't know all the things right now, but someone's leading you. And it's going to take time, right? It took me a year and a half to build my clientele with clients behind the chair. I paid my dues. No matter what you do, you're going to have to pay that time, pay those dues. And I stood there and I watched somebody apply a root touch up and foil highlights and all the things over and over and over. And I committed to that time and allowed myself to learn and know that this was going to be something that wasn't just going to happen overnight. And so same thing in this network marketing business. I was like, okay, I need to commit long-term to this. I can't just dip my toes and hope it works out for me. Like, no, this takes hard work, time, consistency, and a lot of effort. And I was familiar with effort. I like effort. I love that. I was like, okay, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? Like, I'm going to go all in. And so important, you guys. Next is like being coachable. Like, respect who is teaching you and who is guiding you. They've gone before you. And as we grow, we have to, we want that same respect from the people that we lead, right? Like, hey, just trust me. Like, I know the way, and it's in your benefit to trust that I'm leading you to a better you and to hopefully, a successful business, right? So being coachable, remaining humble, being okay with being new and learning. And more importantly, giving yourself grace. You guys, if you look through my social media and all the things that I posted, there's been a graduation and a progression, right? Of maybe my skill set or what becomes aesthetically pleasing or color schemes and all those things that I had to just start. I had to just go first, which I'm going to go into next. But I had to give myself grace when I had it mastered. Like, how can you start anything and just, be this like natural expert? Like, that's not the case. So be okay humbling yourself. Be okay being at something new. That's exciting. Tell yourself, like, I'm excited to learn something new. I'm excited to progress. I'm excited to look back and be like, hey, this is where I started and this is where I'm going. If we just jumped in and we were just like immediately like wonderful and special and experts at everything, like, that's not something to necessarily be proud of. It's what we become proud of is the growth and the journey, and be like, dang, like, I remember even just like in CrossFit when I was like first doing push-ups and I wanted to cry because they were like horribly like uncomfortable. And I was like, this sucks. Like, I can barely do 5. And now I can probably do like 15, you know what I mean? But I'm like, hey, I know what it feels like to only be able to do like 3 to 5. And I'm so proud of what I've been able to, create now. And so progression is normal. Like, give yourself grace, accept it's new. It's someone's leading you, and it's normal to feel all of those things. So like I said, be willing to go first. And more importantly, like, go first alone. Then this topic could seriously go into so many directions. You guys, take the leap, take a chance. If you never do anything different about your situation, you will always remain the same, right? And I was at this point not willing to tolerate even the thought of that any longer. Dude, I don't literally care what you do. You have to own it. People are going to judge you no matter what you do. And if God put a dream in your heart, he intends to fulfill it and bring it to completion. No one else will care about your dreams as much as you do. And like I said, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? I need to be willing to go first, even if nobody gets it. It's a desire and a dream in my heart and my being that God has specifically placed on my life. And it's up to me to fulfill that, and you don't need everyone to get it. You don't need everyone to be on board. that's what you have, your team for, your leaders for, to be able to pull that out of you. And those people, spoke life into me in that season of my life, right after my breakup in the beginning of my business. And you guys, it lit a new fire, and it gave me a new perspective about, hey, what I'm capable of more. Like, I thought this, but like, she sees it and she's pulling it out of me. And like, why would I slow down? Like, why would I stop myself? Anyways, I think that's such a huge thing, is like, we're always like, what is everyone else going to think? Oh my gosh. Like, I didn't know anybody in my area in this industry, you guys. I didn't know anybody who was successful with it. And I thought, okay, I'll be the first. I'll be the one willing to commit to this first and achieve what I say I'm going to. I love a challenge, you guys. I love proving people wrong. And like I said, I knew in my heart and my gut, like, the way that I built my business behind the chair, I was going to take those same principles and bring it into this business as an entrepreneur, as an independent. And God put this desire in me. Like, God put this on my heart. And you guys, what God starts, he finishes. And so I knew that I just felt like I couldn't fail, and, truly based on my story, right? Like, I was pretty desperate for just anything else. And I watched, like I said, people who I knew just seemed happy and had all the things. So I was like, what did I have to lose? Because what I was doing wasn't working, right? And I've told you guys like multiple times on this podcast too, like, my mom, my best friend, they weren't very supportive. Like, those are those people that you would hope to like understand, right? The people that are really, really close to you and you have like intimate relationships with, and you're like, hey, this is hard for me. Like, you guys, network marketing is hard. Like, it's hard to stand up for yourself, but the reward you get for standing up for yourself over and over, that's what you build. And that's what nobody can take from you. And so, it was tough to be able to be like, hey, I'm being vulnerable. I'm working for this. I'm going through breakup. I've got things to pay for and all, whatever, and it was a personal decision I had to make every single day, all day. And it's like, they pretty much ignored me. And in fact, were kind of mad at me that I was on my phone or always working or whatever. But I was like, I knew like I had to do this for me. I needed to put my head down and do right now what I needed to do to earn the things that I desired for. And even more so, you guys, what I needed to do in order to afford breaking a lease, right? Like, find out what brought me passion and joy that was far overdue in my life, while creating a new future for myself, a different future, right? And they didn't understand that. And that's okay. I know, trust me. Like, you guys, if I get what's hard about this, like, if anybody does, I'm saying it's me. Like, I have felt probably the most, I don't want to say the most alone, but there are plenty of times where I've felt, in my head, it's a personal decision I've had to make. And that's the most growth, is what I'm feeling I have to accept is for me, and I'm going to move forward in it. And the only approval that I need is God's. And the only direction that I need in leadership right now is God's, and the people who are teaching me, who have already gone before me. But everybody else, no matter how special they are to me, whether they're related to me or your spouse or whatever, or your boyfriend, I don't care. Sorry. But like, yes, like I said before, like, have respect for those people, but also like, know that if you're wanting to run after something, like, do what you got to do. I knew, and because ultimately, you guys, this became more than just me, right? This wasn't just about me. Now this is about thousands of people. And had I known that this is what was going to come of this, like, I can't imagine the mindset that I would have had earlier, like, I was willing to do all this, but it might've been a little bit easier to be like, hey, Daniel, like, people are counting on you. Like, they're going to be inspired by you, and they're going to like, it's going to matter so much. Like, you don't understand that the daily thoughts that you have to go through and battle with, and the judgment and opinions, like, that matters to so many more people than just you right now. And I thought that, but I never knew it would be on this scale, you guys. This is so much bigger than just us. And so I just knew, like, I had to create this. And it's like, they didn't know what was going on in my bank account, what that looked like, or the fact that I needed to feel purpose on something new, or I needed to feel joy, and better yet, that ambition, right? And so I was willing to step out of my comfort zone. I was willing to do it alone. That's okay. It's all right to do it alone. Like, you are set apart with certain desires and feelings for a reason, because God has put those places in you. And you guys, wouldn't life be boring if we were all the same? If we all had the same ideas and passions and dreams, right? So like, go after like the things that are in your heart. And like I said, I felt for so long, and I kind of denied, because other people were just like, why would you think that? Like, what are you doing? It's like, why are you not just content with what's going on? And I'm like, no, because I've always felt this way. And so it's like, how do I step into this? Own that. That's what you're supposed to do. Whatever your skill set or your desires, or what makes you excited, the way that you want to serve people, like, you're not that way on accident. Okay. So the truth is, I really felt more alone and stagnant, before making this decision, before starting this business. So moving forward alone toward a goal that meant hope for me, I was so fired up every day, you guys. And I knew this would be something that my efforts would pay off in. That was so exciting for me. And, I didn't know who would join me, but I just knew one thing, and that's exactly where I was going and what was ahead. And I was obviously making that very clear by my habits I was newly creating, through this business. And I had a vision and I wanted to create a feeling of conviction, when I shared it. And so do that, like build this vision for somebody. It's like, you don't need to know all the things about your business. You don't need to know all the ins and outs. You just need to have a vision. You need to know where you're going. And you need to have this like black and white conviction when you talk about it, because that's what people are excited about and they're attracted to. And especially if you can humble yourself and say like, hey, I don't know all the things. But you know what? I know where I'm going and I'm going to figure it out and someone's going to teach me and I'm going to be willing to learn. And it makes them feel more like, okay, well, I don't know all the things yet too. And I'm going to follow this person. Like I'm going to feel like if they can do it, I can do it, kind of a thing. Right. So usually things that we're like probably afraid to admit or feel vulnerable about is actually more relatable to other people. It's like, hey, I don't need to have it all together. I don't need to know the ins and outs. I just need to know what I'm passionate about and what matters to me and where I am going, and it's not here anymore, right? So this is also so important, you guys. When you're creating that vision, you're and being committed, you're building trust. This is huge, especially since, essentially my business is sales, right? So, and building trust with your clients, with your future, business partners, really goes hand in hand with time, consistency, and commitment. You need to commit. Let go of how you feel day to day and just choose to be disciplined. You're never going to feel like you love I don't care what you do every single day, like whatever your job is. Like you guys, we have to be disciplined in how we show up. And I knew that I needed to take my business and myself seriously in order to earn the trust of other people. People want to follow someone who's committed to working and leading them. Go be that person. Just because something gets hard or uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not for you. Top 1%ers are just willing to do the hard work and uncomfortable things when everyone else decides to quit. And the only way to fail is to quit, right? So all of this goes back to humility. There's never a perfect season in your life or a time in your life to work harder. The time is right now. So you might as well just make a decision to commit now. And whatever you decide to put into it, right? Whatever amount of time or effort, just be consistent and commit to that amount of effort, that amount of work. And, I was well aware that this style of business was misunderstood because of the 99% of people who don't commit to it, right? So I was like, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I was going to show up every single day. I was going to be my brand. I was going to wear my brand, you guys. And like, I'm telling you, I want you to know, like, it was uncomfortable for me. I remember when clients sat in my chair and I was like, okay, I need to have a conversation with him about what else I'm doing. And there's a chance for rejection and there's a chance they're like, oh, it's just one of those things or like whatever. But I knew like if I had a plan, like I needed to own it. I needed to be all about it. I needed to consistently and commit to showing passion for what I was doing. And, it's crazy because those people ended up coming around, the people even maybe who were hesitant at first, but because I showed time and consistency and effort and passion towards this. And I was like, my mind's not changing. Like I just knew. Have a black and white conviction about it. And I knew that no one would change my mind about that commitment and my loyalty to my company. You guys, I fully know to my core, I represent the best of the best, and it's not up for discussion. And you can share that same conviction, whether you've been in a business for 24 years or 24 hours. It's all about your vision. And I was able to make it so clear exactly what I had in mind for myself. And with this opportunity that I was doing anything but dipping my toes in this, right? I was all in from day one. It was my highest priority. I worked this business as my first priority long and hard enough so that I would one day have the flexibility to work this business around my life, right? And there's no secret to success. There's no alternative for hard work and commitment. Quit trying to find a different route and just choose to be all in. Halfway work does not equal top 1% results. You guys decide on your why that creates no back door for you, right? Be willing to be humble yourselves, gracious to yourself, be coachable, be willing to be that person who does it first and do hard things. And one of the most amazing things about this company is that you are surrounded with people who feel that same way. So you're never really alone. Like you might feel like that in your own community, in your own network, but like when you stay connected to, your leadership and all those things, and your team, you're able to conquer those things. And, like I said, earn your clients' trust through your commitment. You guys be all in. Like literally, what do you have to lose? And I I think about this all the time. I'm like, what if I didn't say yes when I did? Like, what if I didn't lean into this? Like, because it was just like one thing after another when I just developed like a new vision for myself and for my business and for my future, my relationship and my home and all the things that like I just talked myself out of feeling unworthy for a long time. So I hope this was helpful, you guys. I hope this is just like, I mean, there's so many different directions I could go with this. And to be honest, if you guys have specific questions, I would love to answer those. On this next episode, I really want to talk about, taking ownership of your specific calling. And I think one of the major things that gets us off course and slows us down and really steals our joy, you guys, is comparison. And I've dealt with a lot of comparison, even up until now. I mean, I don't think that ever really goes away. And so I want to talk to you about how to conquer that, how to feel just like at peace with who you are, what you're doing, what God's called you to do in your business, and how to stop looking left and right and just look forward at like what you're doing in your own business. And so, again, if you guys have feedback, what you'd like to hear from me, let me know. You can follow me, stay connected with me on Instagram at Danny Cakes, DANNI Cakes, or at my podcast Instagram, immeasurably.more.podcast. And you guys, please share this with somebody that you know will find value in it. Rate, review, and subscribe as always. And I will leave you guys with this. Proverbs 16:3, commit your work to the Lord and your plans will be established.